Oh, what is going on, everybody?
Hey!
It is Pixel Partners, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Justice for All. Where we left off.
When we left off, I'm hoping that my theory is correct.
Yep, everything ties down to what was in that guitar case last time.
I call it.
This
it
is all I
has
can
to be.
think of, so.
Wait.
Uh-oh. And why would something like that be inside a guitar case, let alone this one?
Why, Mr. Wright? Why?
Well,
Fuck.
I just thought it might have been possible. Oh, well, I've suggested, why don't you put that in the void where your brain is supposed to be?
Jesus.
Yes, and never bring it out again.
Oops. Can't a foolishly foolish fool get some love? You still need to prove your theory? Can you prove that the guitar case was not empty at the time of the murder? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Yeah, deflate that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. And let's have it what was inside here.
Should we load?
I can't from this screen,
Oh.
so I have to at least give another guess.
Man.
I wouldn't say the knife. Obviously not this autopsy report. Lotta's photo wouldn't make sense. The Jim and Ninja's button wouldn't make sense.
No.
The wine glass wouldn't make
No.
sense. I'm now genuinely dumbfounded.
Same. Do I need to look this up?
Probably. She was obviously looking for the body of her sister.
Sister.
Was inside.
You mean mentor?
Or mentor. Sorry.
Sister.
Forgot they're not related. Bleh. I don't know.
I'll look.
You gotta go down more, I think. Yeah, you definitely gotta go down
Present the
more.
Nickle Samurai? Really? Huh.
Nickle Samurai.
But this is a photograph. Look at this photograph.
God dang it.
Yes, but what's important is what is in that picture, Your Honor.
In this picture.
It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I am proposing is... inside the guitar case was the Nickle Samurai, the hero's very own costume. Wait a minute.
What?
Remember how the Nickle Samurai was gonna make that press conference that On Guard had no idea about?
Yeah. It's the
So-
theory you came up with forever ago at the beginning
Is it
of this
starting
case?
to come to fruition? So obviously Juan brought a Nickle Samurai costume with him to go to that press conference in.
Yeah.
To make a fake conference about the Nickle Samurai and make some kind of confession.
Yeah.
And perhaps... because you'd think that Adrian would know something about this being so close to him.
Uh-huh.
And she would have had to have set that up in the first place,
'Cause
being the
she's-
manager.
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay, inside the guitar case was Nickle Samurai, the hero's very own costume. What?
Mr. Wright, explain yourself.
Right. Are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be in doing something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews?
Oh.
I refuse to accept your theory.
Oh, you stuttered.
Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop.
That's right.
And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct?
You mean this photo?
Okay.
God dang.
Order!
Order! Looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we?
Nice job, Phoenix.
Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later.
Yeah.
That's all I do in my life too, Phoenix. Up top.
The so-real murderer was hiding inside a costume.
But wait a second, Your
You're
Honor.
still
The
stuttering.
Nickle Samurai's costume would have been mad on guards. Why would something of the defendants be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places?
True, that is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this Nickle Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case?
I mean, he was wearing it, so it was a spare costume.
Yeah.
Mr. Angard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we are talking about was a spare one. What?
Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickle Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel?
Uh-huh. Yes, that is what I am saying.
And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case?
It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose. Yes, yes.
Yeah, but why? The victim, Mr. Kurita, was the Shaman Ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickle Samurai's spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act?
And therein lies the sticking point. But what are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Huh? No, I just...
Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickle Samurai spare costume?
Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you.
Saving. I know we lost a point, but that's fine. It's nothing big. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickle Samurai spare costume to the hotel was...
That. Confess.
What is this?
Please? Yes! On the night of the murder after the stage show, the Nickle Samurai was going to hold a special press conference.
A press conference?
Yes, the Nickle Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well, for once you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange was that Mr. On Guard himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night.
But how can that be?
The way I see it, that can only mean one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Kurita himself.
The victim?
Yes. The spare Nickle Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Kurita is going to hold the press conference as a Nickle Samurai.
Scandals!
Ooh, scandalous.
He was going to dress up as the Nickle Samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing?
That's something I don't quite know yet.
Yeah.
However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The Nickle Samurai is going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he's going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Kurita, posing as Nickle Samurai, was going to speak about Matt on Guard.
Yep.
Yes, I guess that is what it would mean.
But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure.
What?
Miss Andrews?
I can see why you're pros at what you do.
Pardon me?
Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan.
Oh, we own this shit now.
Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this.
I was the one he asked to help set it up. Oh. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me.
You?
Juan had bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway.
He was going to ruin him, huh?
It looked like somehow Juan had his hands in had in his hands a secret so powerful
Uh-oh.
that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed.
A secret so powerful, someone would probably want it defended and get him pulled out of court as quickly as possible. Oh, this shit's fucking.
Yikes.
What?
Yeah.
And do you know what the secret of Mr. On Guard's is, Miss Andrews?
That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is.
Chains everywhere.
Yeah, right.
I see.
He doesn't believe her. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt after all.
Protect Mr. On Guard?
And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behavior.
Yes, Your Honor. I understand.
Oh, I got
jeez.
the testimony.
Protecting
Okay.
Matt. Hold on, I
Okay,
need to get
now.
a little sip of something.
All right. And then we gotta pull something out of her on this one. Yeah, we
Boy,
go.
all the judge talking is putting a number on my vocal cords.
I understand.
Can you tell? You
Oh,
can
yeah.
kind of hear it.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him.
This does account for everything.
Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit.
If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I'm ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright.
Looks like everything is swung into the opposite
Yep.
end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down.
She swung it back to Matt.
Yep. Protecting Matt.
Boy, that is very
Here we
calculated.
go, Rick. Yep. Okay.
Excuse you.
Sorry. For the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Why do you say this? Why? Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you?
Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. Oh. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things.
3 things?
A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. And if you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix.
They didn't teach that to us in school, at least not from what I remember. No.
May I continue now?
Fine, go ahead. I can go on no matter what. So would you say this need came from the press conference?
Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event and that hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt on Guard.
And you know of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews?
Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume.
But
Oh, it's you.
I'm sure Mr. On Guard himself didn't know anything about the press conference.
Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference?
Anyway, the important thing here
There he
is that
goes
this
with the
information was
anyways.
not in your testimony.
Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony, if you please.
Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright?
She's getting bitchy again.
I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right.
Has Mr. On Guard done something to hurt or betray you personally?
Why do you ask?
You were the one who helped Mr. Credo with this press conference. And that event was supposed to bring down Mr. On Guard, yet you still helped out. The person on trial right now is Mr. On Guard, right? What the witness was thinking, helping the victim with this plan, is none of our concern. In any case, this means that the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself?
Keep digging her own grave.
I didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. On Guard was taking a nap in his room?
Yeah.
Are you telling me now that too was a lie so you can cover Mr. On Guard?
I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time.
I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Miss Andrews has said. I can't say the same for people here in this courtroom, however.
The judge is glaring straight at Mia.
He's glaring at you, smart guy.
God, fuck! My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage.
Then what about the button?
The button?
It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and his murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jammin' Ninja's costume.
You're talking about this button, correct?
That button was found in the pleats of Matt's Hakama, isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence.
Looks like you're outfoxed again, Mr. Wright.
Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please
He
fix
said
your
anyway
testimony.
again. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat.
Thank goodness me can still look at me.
With an icy stare, yes.
Oh man.
Oh my god! Everyone in the courtroom right now is like, Phoenix, you fucking dumbass.
They're literally staring at me like, you're wasting my day,
Yeah.
motherfucker. Jury duty's killing my ass.
Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony.
Okay, so the button was
That
torn
button
off.
was torn off Juan during his fight with Matt.
Alright, okay, so that was that. Alright, let's focus on the button, I guess. And how do you know that?
When the ends of the threads on the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly, or so I heard.
Huh, I've heard that before too. Why would Miss Andrews know about this case down to such a fine detail?
Yeah. Don't look at me like that, just because I'm prepared and you're not. Oh!
And I thought I had her this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on, it has to be here. But where and what? Okay, so there's our detail, so... Okay. So this is a story all about how my life, it got flipped. So, strangled with a scarf, then stabbed with a knife. So he was strangled first and then stabbed.
This is all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down.
Okay. Crime photo. The knife there. All right. Okay. I'm gonna roll with a couple theories here.
I still don't get how someone could kill someone with a freaking butter knife.
I mean, if you go hard enough, it'll tear through skin. Anyways,
guess.
all right. I think I should present the autopsy report, because maybe we can go with the strangle with the scarf as the main thing. There we go.
Oh,
Ooh-wee, I was nervous on that one.
I didn't know what to expect from
All right.
that.
Because, I mean, if he was strangling from behind, then the fight wouldn't have happened like forward, because he was strangling him probably from behind, which would
Yeah.
make the button not fall off in a fight like that. Because they wouldn't be at the front.
What if 2 people did it?
Let's see, they ganged up. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf.
Strangulation.
The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died.
And what does that mean?
God dang it.
Let's examine the evidence.
Oh, the poorly painted Easter egg.
This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off of the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly, which means
It was a setup.
it is impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight.
Ooh.
That's right, Miss Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle.
Because there was no struggle.
This button was consciously pulled off of the victim's already dead body.
Ooh. As a plant.
Order. What is the meaning of...
What is the meaning of this, Wright? So what if the button was torn off of the victim after the victim had already died? What does that change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know that this button was not torn off during the fight. So the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had done something in mind, wouldn't it?
Had something.
Mr. Wright, does this mean... Does this mean that you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it?
Pin the crime on guard, obviously.
I believe that's the obvious one.
Because it was found in his pants.
Yeah.
To have a memento of the crime.
There's only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. On Guard.
Yeah.
There's no way anyone would put a bloodied button in their own pants.
Yeah.
That's right. Mr. On Guard was set up. By the real killer, of course. Oh boy.
And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then?
The killer. Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point.
Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end.
The real killer person who planned to frame Mr. On Guard is... I didn't really get to say,
It's gotta be Adrian, right? There's not really any other person.
Yeah?
Yep.
Unless the person who planned to frame him is Juan Carito.
No.
Possibly, but...
Whew, okay. Because no one else would make sense.
No. Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you.
He was obviously plural.
Ooh, Pokemon. You are Mr. Carito's killer.
What?
Yep, there they go,
yeah.
shattering again.
Order! Mr. Wright, this is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence to support your charge?
Any evidence? All the evidence points to Miss Andrews.
How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me.
I can't, can I? Would you care to test me?
Oh, then what about this knife?
The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion on Mr. On Guard, naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room.
Yep.
And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. There they go, and boop.
Yeah. Then what about the button that was found in Matsukama? You put it there.
This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer.
Yep.
However, if Mr. On Guard was the real killer,
What, he wouldn't...
there's
yeah.
no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own Akama.
Ugh.
Oh, that's another pair. That's
Jesus,
a lot of money going down the drain.
I was gonna say.
The only person who could have put this button into Mr. On Guard's Akama is the person who went to wake him up from his nap, which is you yet again, Miss Andrews.
Oh, you put it in there while he was sleeping.
Yeah.
I see. What about the empty guitar case?
That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. Ooh, ooh la la. Oh my, oh my. The costume was used to hide the real killer's identity. She fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was such a costume inside the guitar case? It can only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim.
Yep.
And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews.
No,
But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time.
That's right.
That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body.
Yeah.
And to top it all off, there's this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this Nickle Samurai is Mr. On Guard.
Nope.
He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not?
Please stop.
Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time.
Miss Andrews?
I refuse to testify.
What was that?
There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something. if it can incriminate me.
Well, yes. You're absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination by allowing a witness to not testify if a testimony can cause damage to themselves.
What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot.
No.
Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. On Guard's room.
Adrian Andrews. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood?
Oh boy.
Alright.
This is all Von Karma's fault. Still getting her grubby fucking hands in this goddamn
Yeah,
case.
Von Karma told her to
not say
that.
anything.
Yeah.
That's it. That's when Francesca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews to not testify if things look bad.
You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done.
Something I haven't done?
Oh boy.
What's wrong, Wright? You finished already? Run out of evidence?
What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth?
I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless.
Excuse me?
But what? Everything you've proven is circumstantial.
What?
Circumstantial?
How's it circumstantial?
Yes, circumstantial. You've yet to find a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Carita.
Oh, motive.
Oh man, I'm sorry I'm gonna break your promise, bitch, but
Yeah.
Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Carita?
I believe this may lead me to incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering.
But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think?
Maybe so, or maybe not. There's nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence.
no! She's taking that defiant attitude again.
Yeah.
Mia, what should we do?
Somehow we've landed in the worst possible situation.
There's only one more thing we can do.
I think we've reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid, definitive proof.
But that's not true.
In this situation, there's only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare recess.
Recess?
I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter, and that tomorrow's trial...
Tomorrow?
Yeah. No!
We don't have a tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This
Maya
isn't
won't.
about that.
Yeah.
Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya...
He's like, what?
Huh?
But it's impossible to continue as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is...
Oh.
It is not impossible for this trial to continue.
Mr. Edgeworth! Whoa, what are you?
It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony.
Yes, that is very true, but...
Actually, there's one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews. When you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice.
Yes, and?
I can't help but think how unnatural
Yeah.
that is. Usually when one finds a body, they're shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice.
So my actions were unusual? But I've already...
Before you speak, I want you to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect.
testify?
Your Honor, I'd like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness.
I don't want to know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know.
Is he friend or foe? I just don't know.
Well, he did straight up say that our hatred for him is one-sided.
Yeah, and he's apparently learned a lot about court, so.
And he also overheard Phoenix talking about Maya all desperately, and he's like, huh, what's going on? Something's going on here.
What you tripping about, dog? What you tripping about?
Something's
what
going
you
on.
Tripping?
Yeah,
Why you tripping? When you tripping?
Much.
All right, well, I guess next time we're going to see where this new testimony goes.
We.